Hello, good morning. My name is Sally and today I have my lovely model Caroline, who you might recognise as one of the Look Fabulous Forever ambassadors, who has come to be a guinea pig and a model for me today. And the issue that we are discussing and focusing on today is the dilemma of pigmentation. As we age, we get a lot more pigmentation due to aging, due to sun damage, due to physical damage to the skin and hormonal changes. And so it's a problem, it's a very, very, very common problem as we get older. So today we want to sort of talk about, I'm going to do a full makeover on Caroline, but we're going to focus in on using makeup to help with this issue. There are other things you can do, and there are topical ingredients that you can actually apply and serums that you can put onto the skin. Ingredients such as arbutin, niacinamide. You can also use retinoids, fruit acids like glycolic acid. There's all sorts of things that you can use, but all what I would say is you need to persevere with these serums and use them for at least 3 months before you will see any difference. As well as using all of these ingredients, probably the most important thing to do is also to use a high SPF factor every day underneath your makeup. Don't worry, because makeup can help you, and that's what we're going to do today. Caroline has already put her hydration hold serum on, and we've put some moisturizer on, and we've let that sink in, and that's really important before you start on the makeup application. The first product that I'm going to use on Caroline is Smooth Like Silk Face Prime. And this is absolutely, I think, essential if you're going to put foundation on, if you're going to put concealer on, if you're going to try and cover up any pigmentation problems. This will make everything work better. And what it will do is it will smooth out. So let's get a couple of pumps. And I'm just going to pop this all over Caroline's face. And what it does is it will fill in any fine lines and open pores, and that means that when you put your foundation on, it will just go on really smoothly and it will last all day. It won't go patchy. So the next product that I'm going to use is Colour Balance Neutralizer in Peach. So this is a fantastic product for counteracting any sort of purple or brown, so it does work well on under eyes and also darker pigmentation. So you don't need very much. I'm going to just make a little bit. So you can see it is a really peachy colour. So we have one in green as well, and green counteracts redness, but the peach counteracts sort of the bluey brown. So I'm just going to put a little bit on. At this stage it does look a little bit obvious and peachy, but don't panic because we're going to be using foundation and we're going to be using concealer as well. So I'm just going to put a little bit there, and I'm also going to put a little bit just around slightly darker areas that we all have around our eyes. Just a little bit on this side. I think it puts a lot of people off. They think, oh, that's making it look worse, but it's the first stage in the process. So don't be put off. You do need to use concealer as well to really make this work well. And I use my ring finger just to tap around the eye area because it's very, very delicate, this area, so you don't want to drag at all. So I'm going to use the Continuous Cover Foundation in shade 2.5 on Caroline. And the foundation is brilliant because it gives really good coverage but without being cakey. And it's got coconut oil, it's got vitamin E in it. I like to use it with a little bit of primer as well. I take a little bit onto my hand and then add a little bit of primer. And I just find that doing that as well as using the primer first means it goes on really smoothly. So mix the two together, and I'm using my foundation brush number 3. Okay, so I'm now going to pop the foundation on. You can put it on with your fingers, or you can do what I'm doing and putting it on with a brush. If you put it on with fingers, I would still recommend, if you have got the brush, it's really nice to buff it in with the brush. This gives a lovely coverage. And where you've actually put your corrector, you don't want to drag it, so you sort of stipple over it so that you're not taking the corrector into a different area. Don't forget this little bit. I always say don't forget this little bit of your nose. People do. So the next stage in covering up pigmentation is to use the Cover to Cover concealer. This is a really creamy product, so it's like adding a little bit of extra help to the foundation. A lot of concealers are quite drying. This one isn't. It's also got tea tree in, which is good for redness too. And it's easy to use because it is creamy. So I like to use my concealer brush number 4, and I am just going over the area very gently. This is concealer shade number 2. There's 1, 2 and 3. I sometimes find I need to use a slightly different shade around my eyes. You'll get to know what is the right one for you. And I'm using a stippling action and then just a patting action, so the warmth of your finger just melts the concealer into the foundation so it doesn't look like it's sitting on top. So I'm now putting a little bit into the corner of Caroline's eyes where it's often a little bit sort of bluey, and it will just brighten them, and then again stippling around the eyes, and then again using the tapping action of my ring finger just to melt. And what I sometimes do is I don't put loads of concealer on until I've finished the eye makeup, and then I can go back, clean up the area and put a little bit more concealer on after doing eyes. So it doesn't have to be perfect at this stage, but it creates a little bit of a base. What I'm going to do now is to seal what we have done using the sheer fine translucent powder, which is just, it's translucent, so it has no colour, and it's really, really good. Because it's so fine, it doesn't sit in any lines like some powders do. So if you've particularly covered something, I quite like to use the eyeshadow brush number 7 just to set in a slightly more precise manner rather than just sweeping the powder willy-nilly over the whole face, which I would normally do. But if I've put something on in a specific way, likewise, just around the eyes, it's quite nice just to put a little bit of powder in a more precise way, just to set the concealer. I'm now going to use 2 more primers. We've used the face prime. I'm now going to use Smooth Out Eye Prime. This is a fantastic product to use on your eyelids if you're going to use eyeshadow, or even if you're not going to use eyeshadow, because as we get older, not only is there sort of discoloration sometimes on the face, but we get fine veins showing through because the skin on the eyelids is really, really thin. So this product will I use the tiniest amount. Really important to put this onto dry, clean and oil-free lids for it to work the best, and it just allows your eyeshadow to go on in a true colour, and it stops the creasing that you might sometimes get with eyeshadow, and just keeps it on all day. It's a really brilliant, clever product, but the secret is not to use too much. And at this stage, because I've just done my eye primer, I like, when I do my own makeup and when I do other people's makeup, to do the Never Feather Lip Prime if I'm going to use it, because it just reminds me to do it and it gives it time to dry before you put your lipstick on. So it's a good time to do it. So this is good if you get any kind of bleeding and feathering of your lipstick. As we get older, sometimes we have a few lines around the mouth, so this will stop your lipstick from moving. So I'm putting it just on the outer edge of Caroline's lips, not on the actual lip, and it kind of forms a barrier so that your lipstick will not move. It just gives that time to dry. So Caroline has beautiful hazel, do you call them hazel eyes?
I think so.
Yeah, they're beautiful, warm brown, and so we're going to go with greens, and we're going to use the lovely soft olive as our base colour. which is a really pretty, it's a kind of light and soft green, which will just bring out the green as well in your eyes. So again, I'm using my brush number 7. Although it's green, it's a really pretty grey green, so it's very soft. If you haven't tried this and you fancy something different, really worth trying. It's a very nice, it's a warmer colour, but even if you're cooler and have got some green in your eyes, this is worth trying. I love it. I'm just doing the other side now, just to match. What I'm now going to do is to use the forest green. These are, both of the shades I've used are matte shades, which are really, really flattering on older eyes. So I'm going to use this, it's a little bit darker. I'm just going to put this just a little bit on the outer edge. So I'm just going to blend that out using my number 7 brush. Really lovely, soft, fluffy brush. Great for blending one colour into another. I'm blending little short, firm motion out to in, so I'm not dragging it down Caroline's face. The next step is to use the soft eyeliner in forest green. These are really lovely, easy to use, and as I say, very, very soft. So I'm going to put this on top of just above the top lashes on Caroline. So I like to start on the last lash and I bring it up slightly. So it's just a little bit of a wedge there, which will help to lift the eyes. And then little short, soft little lines, rather than trying to do one perfect line, which is quite tricky to do yourself. It's easier to do little lines. I tend to go about, I'm going just beyond halfway with Caroline. You can go halfway, all the way. That's lovely. Just open. Really pretty colour. I'm going to do a little bit, you don't need to do it underneath, but I'm going to do a little bit underneath as well today. Just twist them. They're a retractable pencil, so they don't need sharpening, which makes it easier to do as well. And then just close. I just bring the bottom up to meet the top, rather than the top down to meet the bottom. Really pretty colour. And just open again. Thank you. What I like to do when I've used a soft eyeliner is to just go over that using my wedge brush number 8 and the slightly darker shadows. So that's the forest green, and that will just soften. So I take a little bit onto my brush and then just take off the excess on my hand. It will just soften the whole look and set it, because you're putting a powder on. It just holds it in place even more. Although they are pretty robust. And if you find that you don't want to use a pencil, you can just use the wedge brush and the darker shadow instead. It'll have a very similar effect. So to finish framing Caroline's eyes before I do brows, I'm going to use Lithe Lash Mascara in Black Waterproof. So this is a lovely product. I'm just wiggling the wand through Caroline's lashes. The beauty of this mascara is that it doesn't have clumps or filaments, so it just coats the lashes. So what we're now going to use is Bring Back Brow Shape in Brown for Caroline. Caroline's already got really nice shaped brows, but what I'm going to do is use my spoolie brush, brush number 6, just to give them a little groom them into place before just filling in any slight gaps with the Bring Back Brow Shape, which is a lovely, it's a waterproof product. It comes in 3 colours. It comes in brown, grey and blonde, but we're using brown today. And what I'm going to do now is just, because it's brown, I like to just take off the excess on my hand. I like to start in the middle, little tiny feathery strokes, just to fill in any gaps. And if you have no hair there at all, you can create individual hairs with this product. That's what's so clever about it. And I like to just lengthen slightly. As we get older, often we just lose the end of our eyebrows. I've probably lost about ½ centimetre on the end of mine, so it's quite nice just to add that length in. Final stage to this process is to go back with the spoolie brush when you've applied the product and soften, and that will just make all the difference. Now at the end of the eyes session, I'm just going to add a tiny bit more concealer just under the eyes, just to clean everything up and to make sure that it's all looking really clean and bright. We're going to add a little bit of colour now to Caroline's cheeks and do her lips. So we're going to use the lovely Desert Rose. It's a cream that turns into a slight powder, so don't need very much. So I'm starting just above the apple and just again tapping it in with my finger and sweeping it upwards. This is a colour that suits a lot of people. It's a little bit stronger than peach cream. It's a sort of good neutral. You can use it if you're warm. You can also use it if you're slightly cooler. It's just a really pretty colour. I'm just going to blend this to give it a slightly softer effect using my blusher brush number 2. And I always like to hold the brush at the bristles so that I'm in control of it. And I like to do it in a slightly circular movement so that it doesn't look too stripy when I blend it. You can apply it directly with the brush if you like to do that. No reason why you can't do that. I just quite like to place it first with my finger and then blend it, but whatever works for you. I'm now going to give Caroline a sweep of healthy summertime with our lovely enduring summer bronze. And I'm going to use my big fat powder brush again and just sweep a little bit up and on her temples, a little bit on her hairline. I like to also use a tiny bit just on the jawline, just to create a sharpness of jawline. And I love to put a little bit on this area of the neck just to blend, because we don't get so much sun down there, so it just means everything, you don't have a floating face then. What I'm now going to use is the defining lip liner in Strawberry. Just like the eyeliners, these are really soft, so easy to use. So it's a retractable, and Caroline has gorgeous lips, so I'm going to outline them and then I'm going to fill it in before putting a really special colour on. I'm just going to do Cupid's bow. This is a lovely warm colour. And again, because it's soft, it doesn't dry the lips out, whereas some lip liners, if you fill them in, it make your lips feel very, very dry. This product doesn't do that at all. It gives a lovely base so that if you're not wearing a long-lasting lipstick and you eat and drink, then you will still be left with colour. So I'm now going to use the gorgeous lip shade in Poppy. So it's a really warm, quite vibrant red. And I'm going to use my lip brush number 5 just to make sure that it goes on beautifully. For a really professional look, using a lip brush does make a difference. It might take a fraction longer, but it will last better and just be more perfectly placed than if you go directly from the bullet. Finish off, I'm going to just take a sweep more of the translucent powder with my big fat powder brush again, number 1, just to dust over everything and make sure that Caroline is set for the day. So there we have the finished look on Caroline. Thank you so much for being such a fantastic model, our ambassador. And so again, just top tips are to really think about using the colour corrector. If you've got sort of discoloration, the peach one is really good. Then go on with the foundation using a stippling action so that you are not dragging it into an area that you don't want. Then use the lovely concealer, because that will really just finish off the coverage and seal it with the powder. That's really important too. Just using brushes, doing it precisely, and then distracting. As you can see, we've done a lovely eye makeup with the greens and we've done quite a strong, bold lips, but Caroline can definitely carry them, definitely, and that also just distracts away from any things that she's not very happy with, which there's nothing there that you shouldn't be not happy with. You look beautiful, so thank you so much, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, then please comment and like it, and if there's any other dilemmas that you would like us to cover in future videos, then please just pop them in the box below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.